Hi, this is Jason Fielder with the Daily Forex Report for March 22nd. We are looking at the U.S.-Japanese yen pair. This particular pair did close down today. Let me zoom in a little bit, get a little bit closer to this. Did close down, overall moving sideways, biased to sideways. Look for this to potentially move as high as 91.25, possibly as low as 89.31. Look for some resistance around 90.82, and look for some support around 89.75. Now, let's take a look at the Euro-USD pair. This pair moved much lower but pulled back to close higher. We are looking for this pair to overall continue moving sideways with the bias that is sideways. Look for it to potentially move as high as 135.85 and hit resistance there, possibly moving down to 134.55 and hit support there. Now, the pound-US dollar pair, it moved lower as well but pulled back to close higher. We are looking for this pair to continue moving sideways with the bias that is sideways. Look for it to potentially go as high as 152.00 and hit some resistance. Look for it to potentially move down to 149.25 and hit support there. Now, the US Swiss, this pair moved lower after moving higher, but did move lower, closed down. We are looking for this pair to continue moving sideways with a bias that is sideways. Look for it to potentially go as high as 10720, possibly as low as 10515. Look for some resistance around 10650, and look for some support around 10525. As far as news announcements go, we have the CPI being released for the pound for February at 5:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Consensus on that is that things have moved a little bit higher from a negative 0.2% to 0.5%. Year to date, they're showing CPI numbers moving from 3.5% to 3.1%. Overall, what this is telling us is that, assuming the numbers come out that way, is that inflation is actually moving down in London, or in the pound in England. So it's which is always a good thing. Lower inflation numbers are good. Well, as far as what we're looking at, I wanted to show you how you can use price action to kind of get an insight as to where things may break out. If you notice, we have the U.S.-Japanese yen pair. We have a potential here for it to break out, and the reason I know that is it is consolidating down. If you notice, you draw your two trend lines, it's definitely consolidating down. You can even back out a little bit further and get a little bit different lines, but overall what this is telling us is that this pair is consolidating. Even on a little bit longer time frame, it's still consolidating down. A good play to make when this occurs is to draw your two trend lines and then look for the gap between and be able to pull a little bit of pips out of that. Now, this one obviously is too close to do that with. Now, that's in the pound, the U.S.-Japanese yen pair. If you go to the Euro-USD, zoom out a little bit, it's pretty much moving sideways. But what's interesting is we have an area of support that has been identified. We have one, two, three, four, now 5 times in this little area. Remember, support and resistance, typically it's an area, not a price. But what this allows us, or what this lets us know, is that we have a potential for price to come to this point and then bounce back. We also have the potential of it to go to that price and then continue to move lower at a very strong and fast rate. So one play you can do with a trend line here is draw your trend line off of this last session's low. Now, I realize it's a good ways, you got a good 80, 90 pips, but if this thing comes down a little bit and then the next day is a little bit closer to this line, you could look to pull out some pips between the two. Basically, there's 30 pips there. Don't know if it'd go all the way through, but you could definitely take a look at it. And that's just one way. If you zoom out a little bit, you can get a better idea. Obviously we have a strong trend to the downside here in the pound US dollar pair that's been going down for a good while. And you can also see here that we have a fairly strong move as far as trend line to the upside. That just gives you a better idea of what to look for. This pair is also consolidating down, and you can see that there. Well, that pretty much wraps us up for today. Until next time, this is Jason Fielder. Good trading.